Just waiting for people to join today. Welcome, everybody who's joining the chat. Very exciting news today. We're doing another live stream, which is awesome. Just gonna wait for a couple more people to join here. Very exciting things. I'm just gonna invite some of our creators to come in. Welcome, creators. Welcome. Hello. How are you?
Hey, Olivia. How's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Just getting started here.
Stuff. What time is it where you are right now?
I'm in Seattle, 9:30. So, yeah.
Oh, just getting an early start, going live with all of our friends. It's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing really good. Yeah, cannot
Hey
complain.
guys.
Good.
Hey,
Hi, how are
Luis.
you doing?
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Really good.
Very good. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's kick it off. Welcome back to live stream number 2. Woo! This is so exciting. Thank you, everybody that's joining or coming in and out. I can see that we have a few people in here right now, so hopefully we'll get more as we're going. I'm really excited to see creator gift battles going on today. I think they're hilarious. So I hope that we keep up that this round here. Before I keep going, can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm getting feedback on my end.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's probably just me. It's totally fine. Okay, so wherever you're joining from, drop from the tech industry or what you're doing for work right now, but let's jump into some intros. So I'm Olivia. I'm Practicum social media manager, and we have decided to create some helpful and funny content for everybody. So on our account, you can find anything or learn some simple terms or like coding exercises and so forth. So that's really exciting. So I'll pass off to our creators. We'll start with Dom. Dom, do you want to do a quick introduction and tell people who you are?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Olivia. I'm Dom. I'm a tech content creator, also a senior front-end engineer. And yeah, today we'll be answering about cool tech questions and everything. I'm also kind of like working together with the Practicum team just to create the best tech account on TikTok, as well as Dviz and Ziad. But yeah, that's a short introduction about me. So yeah, Dviz, feel free to continue.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Duis. I also am a content creator here at Practicum. Excited to be here today, and I hope I can, together with all of you guys, answer questions for everyone in the live.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, guys. So I'm Ziad. I'm also a software engineer right now. I'm from the Seattle area, as I just mentioned. And I'm also part of the Practicum social media team and super excited to talk about tech stuff. What do you got for us, Olivia?
Fantastic. Jumping right into it. Welcome. I'm so excited for this week. Getting my energy up, getting my coffee going this morning is going to be great. So today we're discussing the topic of how to enter the tech field. So we do these live streams every Wednesday. I'm just checking that it is Wednesday and it's not in fact Friday for whatever reason, from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. EST. So make sure you come back and join us every Wednesday. We'll be here answering questions about the tech field. And feel free to drop any topics if you want us to talk about anything. We're always open to new suggestions. So first question, we'll start with Louise. We'll just start in the middle today, spice it up a little bit. What is the algorithm to enter the tech field?
What is the algorithm to enter the tech field? So the steps needed to enter the tech field, you mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, you need to learn how to code. You need to know programming. You need to have technical skills, as they call it. And yeah, you can acquire these through different means. You can take courses, you can go to boot camps, you can go to university for it, whichever learning method you choose to, with learning path you choose to take, it's entirely up to you. It depends what type of learner you are. For the more independent learners, you don't have to go to university, but going to a university following a formal education, of course, that's the simplest way to get into tech, I would say. But I've seen people do it on their own as well, just from home, follow a strict schedule they set up themselves next to their regular jobs or next to school, maybe if they're in university or studying something else, they learn programming on the side. There are many ways you can go on about it. And most recently, boot camps, that's also a very popular way you can get into it.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Dom, you're up. What is the algorithm to get into the tech, or what are the steps to get into the tech field?
Sure. So yeah, as we said, you need to get the technical knowledge somehow, and there's so many ways to get it. Yeah, university, boot camps, online courses, everything. I won't repeat everything he said now, but I would definitely recommend not just randomly going through different YouTube videos, different articles on the internet, because there's too many things, and tech field it's really deep, and you need to have some sort of a structure. So I would recommend like you need to surround yourself with great content, but there's too much content, so it's hard to pick up what's great. I would recommend, if possible, ask somebody who's already in tech, like maybe you have a friend developer, or maybe you have a friend which knows a friend developer. I'm sure if you ask them, they will help you and recommend you some courses, recommend you any content you can do. If you can afford it, then I would recommend a mentor. Just that mentor shouldn't teach you like literally everything, because there's too many things. If you have a budget, then go for it. But yeah, that mentor can just recommend you where to go, in which direction, courses, bootcamps, whatever. So yeah, that would be for me for that part of like you need to know how to get all that knowledge.
Fantastic. Great answer. I already see we have like a bit war going on here. I don't even know if you call it that, like a donation war. So I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who's donating, because I'm trying to see who's going to be like the winner this time. It's very entertaining for me on my side, listening to these amazing tech answers and watching these little tiny dinosaurs jump up on the screen. I think it's hilarious. And it's so nice to be supported by everybody in the live. Okay, Ziad, you are up. Let's hear from you. What is the algorithm to enter the tech field, or like what are the steps that we can do to enter that tech field?
Sure, yeah. I think it kind of also relates to, I think it's Juka Kuka's question. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but how to like start coding from scratch, and basically having no background. So that's kind of actually how I initially started. Like my background was just having like very distant friends that like worked in some kind of tech field, or not even like programmers, but just they worked at a tech company in a different role. And I ended up kind of like surrounding myself with those people to try to understand a little bit more about like what I actually needed to know on the job so that I can like work in that. Because at the time I was just kind of like investigating different careers and seeing like what I wanted to do for college and post college as well. And so surrounding myself with those people and understanding like what does it mean to work in the tech field was really important for me, because I didn't only want to go into a field purely because it's like, it might be pretty well like money wise or anything, but I definitely like wanted to enjoy it myself. So once I started talking to those people and like asking them like, what does a day in the life look like at your job, and what do you do for a living, that kind of question, it seemed like really what I wanted to do. So then it was just like a matter of getting the skills that I, kind of like Dom said, like getting the skills that you actually, and knowledge that you need to be able to work in that job. Like, for example, I would talk with someone and they would tell me like, okay, well, a day in my life looks like, I wake up, I have maybe like a meeting or so. Thanks. That donation was super cool, by the way, that popped up. But yeah, like a day in the life would be like, I'd wake up, I'd attend like a meeting, and we'd talk about like what we're working on. And he described to me like exactly what technologies were being used, to like manage everything. Like, for example, a lot of you guys know about like GitHub. There's some stuff called like Jira, for example, for like task management. So I started just like taking what I would hear from others and learning what these technologies are and building some like side projects using those technologies so that I could be prepared for like what's on the job. And once I kind of also identified like what I wanted to do, which was specifically web development, again, I started asking around like, okay, what skills do I actually need to become like a web developer? And once I knew like the programming languages I needed to learn and like the strategies that were being used in the industry, then it was a matter of like Googling online like how to learn X or how to learn Y or how to use this. And there's so many resources online that would pop up, whether it's like online self-paced courses or things like boot camps, for example, where somebody would guide you through that. So I think like surrounding yourself with the right people and knowing exactly what you want to do and then getting the knowledge is like the algorithm that I would use to get started from scratch. And also that Turkey November donation, I need to get one of those though. That was super cool. Thank you for whoever put that up there.
I wish I had those things in real life where I could just like throw somebody like this hedgehog or turkey, whatever, throw it in real life and it show up. That would make my day. That'd be amazing.
Mhm.
Great answer. The internet is such a beautiful thing. I totally agree. Like, there's just so much knowledge out there. Like, shout out 21st century or whatever century. Okay, on to our next question. What is the perfect age for it? So, like, getting into tech, like starting your coding journey. Let's start from the top, go to the bottom. Dom, you're up.
Sure. So what's the perfect age? I wouldn't say that there is a perfect age to get into tech. So you can get into tech like literally when you're 15, or you can get when you're 50, 50. Yep, I've seen those examples of people who literally started learning tech and they broke into tech into their 50s, which is spectacular. Obviously, like the younger you are in a sort of a way, if you're like in your 20s or 30s, even like coming closer to 40s, it's gonna be a bit easier for you, but that's not connected directly to tech. If you want to break into any other field, it's easier if you're 20 than if you're 50. So that doesn't need to be related to tech. But I wouldn't say there is any perfect age. I would just say try it out, play around with it, and see if you really like it. Don't just get for the money, because you'll get not bored, but yeah, you will be crazy out of like looking at the screens and typing at keyboards and looking at programming language all the time. Like no matter how good the money is, like if you don't like it, like it's you're gonna be crazy. So yeah, decide that, and then if you like it, just go into it, no matter your age is, because we're at the beginning of technology era, and technology is coming into every piece of our lives. It's already in many parts of our lives, but it's still like quite underdeveloped. So it's going to be crazy in the upcoming decades, and tech won't go. We're just at the beginning, so it's definitely not too late to start. If you like it, whatever age you are, even if you're 50, you can get into it.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's as Dom said, it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter what age you start with, but I think that's with everything. If you want to do something, it doesn't matter how old you are, you just gotta go for it. Of course, you have people that have been coding since they were 8. You have those cases, right, where there's kids doing it actually, they're learning. And yeah, of course, if you look at an experience point of view, someone that starts at 20 would be more experienced compared to someone that started when they were 10 or when they were younger. But I don't think that should matter, because at the end of the day, it's an evolving field. Everything you learn now doesn't mean that you 5 years from now is going to be the same. It's always progress going on. So I don't think it actually matters which age you start with. I think as long as you stick to it, you should be able to learn. Of course, assuming you put in the work.
Definitely. It's always great to like learn a new skill too.
Yeah.
Always like, hey, what can I learn next? Like, what can I throw into my knowledge bank that I can just like gather up and learn a new skill, especially if it's something you're passionate about. So great answers, you guys. Ziad, you're up. What is the perfect age in your opinion? to get into tech?
Yeah, Dweez, by the way, you were at I think like 20 or so, but you got one of those turkeys, man, and now you're all caught up.
Oh,
You
oh, really? Oh, thank you.
Yeah, to answer the question, I think, yeah, I could give an example. So I actually, like, at my first, internship, I guess, I had a mentor who was like way older than me, and this guy was like crazy at his job, right? Like, he was really good, like very high up, and was just like an amazing software engineer. And during some of our like conversations, I would like ask him, like, how'd you get started? Like, because this guy was so like good, I assumed he was your typical like started coding at 5 years old and kept going like ever since. But no, he actually told me that he studied nuclear engineering in college. So that he was like a completely different industry. Like his roadmap, I guess, was like he was going to work in like energy. He was going to be like one of those nuclear like physicists that works on like rocket ships and stuff like that. And he did that for like a few years until he ended up like starting a family and settling down and all that. And then he realized like at I think he told me he was like 27 years old or something like that, that he just like didn't really enjoy what he was doing on a day-to-day basis, and he had a lot of friends that were software engineers, so he was like, let me see if this is like really what I actually want to do. So he ended up going through, I believe he went through the boot well, and he ended up doing a 3 month boot camp, and in 3 months like he was able to transition himself into like a very small software engineering company, and then he worked there for a while and then ended up working at like one of the bigger tech companies in the field. So this is like someone again who's like he started really really late, like way later than a lot of people in his area, at least because a lot of people where he grew up in the Bay Area in San Francisco, and a lot of people there will just like start programming very early, study computer science in a college, and then start working at like 20 or 21. So he was all the way at like 27, 28 years old. And he still, that is so cute. And he still was like really good. Like he ended up working his way up the ladder, and like within a few years he was one of the best like software engineers at the company, which was pretty insane considering that he had like a 5 or 6 year like he was behind a lot of people by 5 or 6 years. So basically I don't think age matters at all when it comes to jumping into the tech field. Like some people will start early and not like it that much, and some people will start late and fall in love with it and really succeed. So yeah, that's those are my thoughts.
Great answer. Sometimes it's just a lifestyle choice, and you're just like, hey, what can I do? And that's how it goes, and it's amazing. Fantastic. These are such great answers. Okay, diving into the next one. This is so exciting. I'm learning so much today. I hope everybody else is too. Again, we do this every Wednesday at what?
Hey, you got a hat.
That's the best. Anyway, we do this every Wednesday, 12:30 to 1:30 EST. So feel free to join. Follow us for content. We talk about a lot of this. I love seeing these. These are hilarious. This is making my day. I'm so distracted. Anyway, back on task. Focusing up. Here we go. This one's kind of an offside question here. It's maybe a little bit controversial. Ooh, it's like pineapple on pizza. If you're thinking like, am I smart enough to learn programming? What would you tell that person that's coming to you to be like, am I smart enough to do it? We'll start with in the middle. Dwez, you're up. Please.
This is a very difficult question. Am I smart enough to learn? Well, first of all, you shouldn't question yourself. You should just attempt it. I don't think doubting your knowledge is going to get you far to begin with. So if you're questioning like, okay, do I have the necessary intelligence to go through it? I think as long as you have a structure in how you solve problems, I think you will get quite far. Because if you think about it, like in tech, when you're programming, it's like taboo topic, but everyone does it. But it's basically you can't remember everything, right? I don't remember everything. I don't remember half of the things I learned. But there's one magical thing nowadays called Google or search engines in general, and whenever you're stuck with something, you can just search it up there. But I don't think some people may have an easier time than others. For example, some people are better, they just have a better logic, they draw correlations easier between topics, which is important when you're programming. But I think the the rate at which you learn things, that may differ, but the results are similar. I don't know if for example, let's say you were terrible at math in high school like I was. I was bad at it. That didn't stop me from passing math courses in higher education. Even though I was bad at it, it's just the amount of work that you put in it. I think that's what makes a difference. If you're consistent at it and you actually go out there and you write a summary with what you learn, or you write cheat sheets, use tools that are available. There are plenty of websites that have snippets and tools that can help you during your learning process. So don't be discouraged and second guess yourself whether you're smart enough. There's plenty of tools, there's plenty of people on the internet that are willing to help you. So I don't think you should be worrying too much about your intelligence in regards to learning. I think you should just give it a shot, and if you don't like it, that's a different conversation. But as long as you're enjoying it, the rate at which you are learning, it doesn't matter if you're learning something in 2 months or 1 year. As long as you're enjoying it, there's plenty of tools online to help you out.
Great answer. Amazing. Ziad, we're going to go this way this time. I hope that's how it looks on everybody's screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really believe in that like intelligence piece as much. I think when it comes to programming, it's definitely like kind of like a mindset you have to shift into. And like that mindset is really just like when you're working on a particular problem or you're trying to you know you're actively coding, like you always think to yourself that like every problem has a solution kind of thing, and that mindset I think is important when you're learning some of these concepts as well, because like I'm not gonna lie, like there is aspects of the tech field that are more difficult than others, at least like for me personally. Like I work as a full stack engineer, which means I build like a lot of the product itself, like the final product that goes out to customers. There's another part of the tech field called infrastructure, which is like the people that manage all of the kind of like you can think of it like the fundamentals of the building so that other people can come and actually build the building. And that part of the tech field seems very difficult for me, for example. Like I know people that work in that, and I was like, oh, that's like really, really tough. But I don't think that I don't have like the intelligence to go and actually like do that. It's just that like I don't enjoy it enough to be able to like go and put in the work to work in that field. So I really think that like when it comes to starting out, like the thing, a lot of aspects of coding will be like pretty tough initially, but like as Dweez kind of said, like if you put in a lot of the work required, like you will eventually get good at it. I think there's a stat somewhere that's like if you put in, I think it's 10,000 hours into like anything, you will see progress and you will be really good at it. For example, like me personally, I'm sure everyone who's like, you guys know this, like when you're interviewing for these tech jobs, LeetCode is like the number one website for just like practicing and being able to solve a lot of like the technical parts of the interview. And let me tell you, like I was so bad at that. Like I was really good at like building websites and apps and stuff. But I'm sure all of you guys know LeetCode is something very different. It's not the same as just like sitting down and building something. And I was garbage at it for the first like few months, and it was just horrible. But I really thought like if I like stick with it, like do like one problem a day, and like try to like watch YouTube videos and look up explanations and stuff like that, eventually like it'll click. And for me, it was just like riding a bicycle. Like when you ride a bicycle for the first like few weeks, you're gonna fall a lot and it's gonna suck, you have to put a few bandages on, but eventually your brain will like click with it and you'll be able to do it. And that's what happened with me in LeetCode. I was really sticking to like one problem a day for, I think it must have been like 2 or 3 months, and then I started like being a little bit more comfortable. And like it was terrible. Like I failed a lot of interviews, and like I wouldn't know how to solve a lot of problems for a while. But eventually it does work. Also, definitely thank you to I think Wouter Woman and Juka Kuka. You guys are amazing. All these donations are fantastic coming through here. And Dweez, you're at 100, man. You gotta get it up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I gotta step my game up.
I'll throw the next one. We're gonna push back to Dom. That was a great answer, Ziad, too. I love that. It's the in-depth of it really helps people just like grasp the concept more. So thank you so much for telling everybody about that, because it's just so interesting. Dom, what do you think? Like, do people have to worry if they're smart enough to learn programming?
First of all, thanks for all donators. Like, you're making us really happy with all these animations. Oh wow, what's this?
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, Dweez.
Oh wow.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Wow. You were at the bottom like a few seconds ago.
I'm speechless. Look at that. Thank you so much for this. Wow.
Thanks everyone.
Wow.
Okay.
I guess I finally stepped up my game. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
to everyone,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks to my top donator, Yura, and yeah, love you too. And now to answer the questions, the question about being too smart or not too smart. I wouldn't say it's that much about that. It's just that the field of programming is super large, and then you're trying to understand some concepts, but you can't just because it's way too large, and you need to understand a bit simpler concepts to understand the most complex ones, or just more complex ones. Imagine it like this. Imagine if you don't know numbers at all, if you don't know what numbers are, and you don't know how to count to 10, and you're trying to understand complex maths. Obviously that wouldn't work, and you wouldn't know that. It's not because you're not smart, it's just because you have so many levels to pass to get to that complex maths. Obviously numbers first, additions, multiplications, much more steps until you get to the complex maths. And it's similar in programming. You just cannot understand some concepts because the field is large and you feel overwhelmed, but that's just the path we're all going through. When I was starting to learning to code, like I was just in the office, people were talking in that coding language. Literally, I couldn't understand anything. They were just like talking about many different technologies and everything. I couldn't understand anything, but that's just a normal thing. When you surround yourself with right people, with the right content, and just continue going through that, I'm sure that you can definitely learn it, and you're definitely smart enough. I would also add, you kind of have the division of people who are more creative, and also, oh wow, this was also really cool. People who are creative, and on the other side, people who are logical. And nobody is like 100% creative, 100% logical. We're all a mixture of those two things. Somebody is aligning more on the left side, somebody on the right side. But I would say, like, if you have just a bit of logic inside you can understand programming, and you can definitely learn it, because programming it is really logical. You need to talk to the machines in that coding language, and it's everything about the logic. So the only thing is, maybe if you're like almost 100% creative and you hate the logic and you were never into that or anything like that, then maybe coding is not for you. Not that you're not smart enough, but you probably won't have that much fun with it. Go into something creative, go into art or anything where your creativeness can express. But that's just like for almost 100% creative people. Yeah, that would be me.
Amazing. Those are great questions. Those are answers, I guess. Sorry, I'm doing great at questions as well, but those are great answers. donators we're still having a battle over here. It's again just I love these gifts. They're hilarious to watch. They're so distracting. But I love them. Not
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you, Miles of Iron. Appreciate it. He's also a software engineer.
Yeah, I saw that. We're getting lots of comments and questions. So we'll jump to those. I'm going to ask one more. We're just going to zoom through this next question. It's kind of like a ballpark answer. And then we'll get to the chat questions. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask, feel free to throw them in the chat. We're going to keep a list of them and go through them as quick as we can because we're done in half an hour here. So we're going to try to speed through this next question and then get to everybody's questions in the comments here. So we'll start with Dom. We'll go down the list. Just starting, we're just going everywhere here. So our next question is, how many hours do I need to spend coding? Dom, go ahead.
If you're starting learning how to code, it's not exactly about the hours, but it's about consistency. So you need to do it a few times a week. I would say minimum 3 times a week, ideally more. And you need to spend probably minimum hour or two, 3 times a week to start learning to code. If you will like it, you will probably spend more on it because you will just play around with it and hours will pass. And so, yeah, but that should be a bare minimum. I don't recommend trying it out, I don't know, and doing it once in 2 weeks because it's similar like going to the gym. You need to be consistent, go at least a couple of times per week, and then you're going to see results. You can do one incredible workout once a month and then expect results. It's just not how those things works. It's the similar thing with coding. Yeah, be consistent. Don't be too desperate if you miss some days or weeks, but it's important that over a course of, for example, 6 months or a year, that you've been coding for every week at least 3 days a week, and that should definitely be fine.
Yeah.
Good one.
I think for me, for example, I was overdoing it. I was treating it like a job, 9 to 5. And at the end of the day, you're so fried. And after a month or so, I was learning really quickly throughout everything. But because you don't give yourself the time to digest everything you learn, a lot of what you learn just disappears inside of the dark abyss of your brain. So I think consistency is more important. Like Dom said, it's better that you treat it like going to the gym, for example. You just do it a few times a week, maybe 3, 4 times, 2 hours. That's great. It doesn't need to be the whole day because it's important that you remember what you learned. There's no point in learning stuff and forgetting all about it. And it's definitely one of those mistakes I made. For example, I learned a programming language in like 3 weeks. And if you were to ask me, I'm not going to mention that programming language, but if you were to ask me some things about it, I wouldn't be able to tell you anymore, especially the syntax. You forget the syntax, but the concepts that you learned, you should remember what you learned. So you should take on, I don't know, what you can handle. Don't do more than that.
That's so fair. Good answer. Ziad, you're up.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like as these guys kind of hinted, number of hours doesn't like directly like impact how good of a software engineer you will be if you're not doing like the right stuff, I feel. Like when I was initially learning, it was definitely like I wouldn't do as much direct coding, but it would be like something around coding. Like I'd be watching a YouTube video or like for example, like reading a book or something about like a specific concept I wanted to learn about. But that doesn't mean like actively coding isn't important. Like I would, like I also spent a lot of time like building side projects, and for me, like it would be very varying, I guess. Like sometimes I'll just be working on a project and I'll like really be into it and like really want to solve it, and I'll like dedicate 5 hours straight or something to like to coding that project. And then other days I just like won't really have like a specific, project that I'm actively working on or like idea that I want to pursue or something. So it'll just be like very little. Like I'll still interact with code in some way by like maybe watching a video or something like that, but it won't be a huge amount of time. So I think it kind of relates to what we talked about earlier in that like you need to really like the field to actually like really go into it. You can't like just go into it for money or something like that, because you're gonna get like really bored and it's gonna feel like a chore for you to like sit down and type away. So I think like finding what you enjoy will help you like make those hours feel more natural. Like I was doing it for fun for the most part, and yeah, like as long as you're consistent with it, like the other said, I think that's really important.
Definitely. Good answer. The other thing is if you guys are wanting to learn just to know a little bit about coding and programming, you can follow our account because we do a lot of the creators, I guess, do a lot of things on like what sites to go to or like simple tutorials on how to code. Like I know there's one that I don't know if we posted it yet, but there's one on how to learn CSS or something that Dom did. Like everybody has some things that you guys can learn through our account. So feel free to follow us because we have a lot of educational content on there as well. And we try to sprinkle in some humor because we're not robots as well. Uh, so we're going to jump to some questions in the comments here. I have an ongoing list. Let me just find one. How about we go with what entry-level field is the easiest to get into in tech? We'll start with, I guess we'll go back to Dom for this one. Go ahead, Dom.
Thanks, Olivia. What's the easiest? If I would have to pick one, that would probably be web development, because you can web development and especially that front end part, basically everything you see on the screen, because you can easily start doing it by creating simple static websites. For that, you only need HTML and CSS. HTML is for that structure, and CSS is to style it, to make it beautiful. And to be honest, they're not that complicated to learn. CSS can be a bit of a trouble, but HTML should be pretty simple. And I would suggest go with that. Like start with just HTML, create a page, even if it doesn't look well, it will look terrible without CSS, and then start adding a bit of CSS. And what is good here is that you can add JavaScript for the logic easily to that same website. So you can implement it first just with HTML, CSS, and then if you want to add some logic, you can add JavaScript there. And then you'll have like one website app that you developed. You'll have some knowledge of JavaScript, and then it's easier for you to understand some other parts. Backend can be a bit hard to get into because you don't get that feedback immediately, like when you create a website, so it's already looking really nice. On backend, you will be just like typing some code and getting some random results, which will be a couple of letters or numbers. So I think that it will motivate you more if you actually create a really nice looking website, or it doesn't even have to be nice looking, but if it's like on your large screen, then it's gonna be more motivating. And yeah, see after that. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then that's the easiest part, and then C.
Definitely. Good answer. Please, you're up. What is the easiest field to get into in tech?
Yeah, I agree with Dom. I think it's specifically front end development, because HTML and CSS, as Dom said, they're not that hard. CSS, you're going to have to play some Flexbox Froggy or something, but you'll get it done eventually. But I think the fact that you can see what you're programming, right? It's not as abstract as backend development for excuse me, for front end development. Like you literally see the front end of the web page. So, well, for game development, you also see what you program, but I think there's still more complexity to it as opposed to front end development. And the languages you can learn for front end, they're not that hard. I think you could say that if you, for example, for me, when I had to transition from CSS and HTML, when I was learning JavaScript, in the beginning it was a bit hard because I did start with HTML and CSS. So it was a bit of a getting accustomed to it, but after a day or two it went by just fine. So I think front end web development for sure. And not only that, I think it doesn't take that long, maybe 2 months that you learn that you can say front end development. Of course, after that, it's a matter of refining your front end development skills. It doesn't take 2 months to be a good front end developer. It takes a lot longer than that. But I think it's the quickest one, the quickest way to get to tech and say, yeah, okay, I'm a developer after you're done with it.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. What's the easiest field to get in your opinion?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with the other guys because that's how I got in. I think the only thing I would add on is like you should definitely try to learn like some kind of framework on top of front end development. Like when I say framework, there's things called like React or Angular or a couple of different technologies that are kind of like what the industry standards are for front end development. So there's like plain HTML and CSS, and then there's like these kind of like technologies on top of HTML, CSS that like bundle them together and add a little bit more like functionality to a programmer so that you can build like cooler websites. And I think that learning those is good because not only is it like I would say it's definitely the easiest for beginners, but because it's also like a really good like entryway to other areas. Like for me, like I built just like really basic websites using React and HTML and CSS, and then I was like, okay, like I want to make this website look a little bit cooler. Like, how do I do that? So then you learn like animations, for example, and learn how to do like cool transitions, and then you start thinking about like, okay, like what if I want to make like a website similar to like Instagram or TikTok or something like that. So then you start thinking about like, okay, how do I do that? What else do I need to learn to do this? And then that kind of leads you into like a whole array of different technologies that you need to learn. And I think like when you start with web development, you kind of start to know what you don't know and pick and choose like what you want to learn. So that like for me, like that led me into like databases and stuff like that, and learning how to interact with those and how to use those on top of my front end code as well. So yeah, in general, I think learning front end is a very good way to get started.
Very cool. So consensus on the side for those that asked. Sounds like front end is the way to go, which is very cool. Okay, next question. A couple from the comments here. This one's just like a fun question. I love this because I'm always looking for like external resources that you can just like listen to. So does anybody have like a favorite podcast or YouTube account that you guys go to for like just learning about tech, or just like a favorite in general that you want to share, like something that like you can listen to while you code that you're just like, this is just a very interesting topic, like listening to it. Does anybody have an answer right off the back? I know it's kind of like I just threw this so it might be hard.
Yes. My favorite podcast, YouTube, hands down, is, hey, I have to say it. It's Practicum USA. It's the best podcast. It's the best one. No one it can equal to it. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Great answer. Fantastic. Dom, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, I have something else to add. Obviously, Practicum, but I won't mention it again. I'll recommend someone else. The guy that helped me a lot is his YouTube channel is Web Dev Simplified, like web development simplified, and he helped me a lot to understand. It has basically everything about web development and super complex concepts from JavaScript or even HTML, if something super complex exists there, and CSS, like he explains it in a really nice and also short way, better than from the other YouTubers I was listening to. So I highly recommend WebDev Simplified. And if you have any topic, I don't know, Flexbox or Grid or Event Loop, just type in Event Loop WebDev Simplified. There's a high chance that his video will pop up, and I just love his explanations.
Nice, good one. Ziad, you're up. Any podcasts or YouTube accounts that you're just like obsessed with?
Yeah,
Just...
I don't know about obsessed with, but there's a couple that I watched when I was practicing for like interviews, especially. So the two off the top of my head was I know there was one, I think it was like Free Code Camp or Free Code or something like that on YouTube, and they make a lot of videos around like specifically like leak code and like different strategies and approaches to solving some of like the harder problems. Like there's a specific type of problems called dynamic programming, which I just like was terrible at during interviews and I had no clue how to solve them. And they had like really good videos with not only explanations but like diagrams and moving animations and stuff like that to really help you build like a good mental model of like how to solve these problems. Another one that I really like is there's a website called HackerRank, which like helps like companies like do these interviews basically, and they also have a YouTube channel where they just explain like data structures and algorithms and stuff like that, and they also use like really cool like walkthroughs and animations to help out. So those would be definitely the two that I would recommend on YouTube. Podcasts, I don't think I have any like coding podcasts specifically. I listen to a lot of like just general like business podcasts, I guess. There's like Y Combinator is one if anyone's interested, but a lot of if you look on like Spotify and look up just like tech or business, there's like gonna be like a whole genre that comes up with tons of like the top podcasts. So I definitely look at that.
Definitely. I scroll through those sometimes too, and I'm like, this is very interesting. Some of it's very complex, some of it's very like just like beginner level. So you have all levels really to learn from. Beauty of the we love the internet. Okay, jumping into a new question here. We have like 10 minutes roughly left. I wonder if we can get you guys over 1,000 like coins or gifts each. Excited to see if we can reach that goal. New goal for the live stream today. Okay. I guess this kind of leads into like a question that we had earlier. So like what equipment do you need to learn how to code? Like can you do it off a phone or do you need like a laptop? We'll start with Ziad. We're gonna throw it back to Ziad for this one.
Yeah, sure. So I personally learned off like a really bad laptop. Like it was like very, very cheap and I don't think I would be able to work with it today to be honest, but like for learning, all you really need is just like access to the internet for the most part. I know there's even a lot of like apps these days that like help like you can actually code like from your phone. I would say that it's not like super applicable in the long term because like ultimately you're going to need like some kind of laptop or computer or something to like actually do work. But if you're in the learning phase, like all you need is really like YouTube or like just a browser to be able to like log into like a lot of boot camps are virtual these days and have like Zoom meetings and stuff. So if you're able to just attend those from a phone, you're fine. And like I said, there are apps out there. If you look up like just coding on like the App Store or Google Play or something, you'll be able to find apps that help you to teach. Oh, that dog is super cute. I love that. But yeah, for the most part, you could learn from a phone. I would recommend a laptop at some point. But if you're just getting started, a phone is probably fine.
Nice, good answer. We're gonna jump up. Don't worry, I'm coming back to you, Dweez. But we're gonna jump up to Dom for this one. Dom, do you have like any specific equipment that you need, or do you agree with Ziad's answer? Like you can start on a phone. Like what is your take on this?
Well, I mostly agree with Ziad. You definitely don't need a strong laptop or anything, so you can start basically on any laptop on which you usually browse. You can use it for learning how to code. It is true. There are some apps for learning to code, and you can obviously watch YouTube videos. But with coding, it's a lot about practicing. So you need to practice it somewhere, and you can do it on your phone even, but it's not. It can be a bit clunky. So if you don't have any other options, you can do it on your phone and go with your phone. But if you can somehow use a laptop. Maybe if you don't have it, you don't have access to it, just borrow somebody else's laptop or anything. But yeah, like you don't need definitely don't need like a super expensive PC or a Mac to start learning how to code. Just get like a really bad laptop and you will be all good.
Definitely. Great answer. Do you want to
Yeah,
piggyback?
yeah, no, I agree with Dom and Ziad. I have seen apps that you can actually learn programming from, but I don't think you should. That should be your only resource of learning. Because I think, of course, the actually applying it in practice is important as well. And most of these apps you cannot program on them. So yeah, if you just have a laptop, you should be fine. I mean, it's not like you are going to be, I don't know, you're going to have need a high performance laptop or a computer or anything like that. It should just be something that you can use to type in your code and run it, and you should be fine.
Good
Yeah.
answers. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more quick question, and then we'll come back next week with more topics, more exciting tech things. Feel free to follow us in the meantime so you get that notification, because we do have a lot of cool tech content, and some of it's really funny, and some of it's just very educational, and it's awesome. Okay, let me look through my little list of things to see. I would say, how would you start to learn programming in the most efficient way? Just like right off the back, just I wanna learn as much info as you can. Like, do you guys when you guys first started out, did you guys have like a set schedule that you did? You're like 2 hours a day, or were you like, nope, I jumped right into something? We'll start with Ziad. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I first started, I did set aside like a certain amount of time because at the time I was in school, so it's like I definitely had to like have a set schedule so I could actually like learn. This was like senior year of high school, so it's just like I was in school for 6, 7 hours a day or so, and then I had homework and all that kind of stuff. So what I would do is I would set aside an hour, I think, before school to go through like at the time it was Code Academy. Like that's what I was like. I was learning Java, and I just like wanted to understand object oriented programming and stuff like that. So I would wake up, and for an hour before school, I'd just go through the course and like try to understand like what was happening and look up any concepts that I didn't understand and stuff like that. And even after I finished like the initial learning phase, like just to build like side projects and stuff, I would still set aside like an hour before school to like work on whatever it is I wanted to work on. But at that point, I had learned enough where I was just like, even after that hour, if I, like I said earlier, if I was like really excited about something, I'll like come back after school or sometimes during school and just kind of like work through whatever it is I was excited about. So I think, yeah, like once you've determined what you want to do and once you've determined like the method, like whether it's a boot camp or a like self-paced course or YouTube videos or something, I would definitely treat it like the gym, like we talked about earlier, where it's like, all right, I'm going to go for like an hour or 2 hours every few days or every day or whatever works for you. But setting a schedule is really important, especially because it's not always going to be fun. Like there's some concepts that you're not going to understand and you're going to struggle with a little bit. But if you set aside time for yourself, then you can, like actually achieve what you're learning.
Fantastic. Okay, Dweez, do you have any answers to that you want to share?
Yeah, I think if you have a roadmap, just go look up a roadmap for whatever you want to learn and start learning from there. I think that is much more efficient because if you just jump into it, you may hop fields and then you end up switching between 5 different topics a day, and then you're not going to learn anything like I did in the beginning. So yeah, you should definitely have it all laid out, know exactly, okay, this is the topic I want to tackle to learn, and stick to it. I think that's the best way to go on about it. So get a roadmap and start learning. Don't just start learning and after you're done halfway with front end development, you realize, no, I wanted to do learn back end. You're just gonna hop between many different things and not learn anything. So get that roadmap and start learning.
Amazing. Great answer. Sorry about that.
It's fine.
Great answer. That was great. Okay, Dom, you're about to wrap it up here with this last answer. Take it away if you have one.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, definitely what Kai said about having a plan and setting some time aside, and definitely having a roadmap. I would also suggest asking a lot of questions, joining some communities. Tech is really strong on Twitter, on Reddit. Go there, ask questions, because you can get a lot of meaningful information there. As we said, like, there is a probability that you will just jump around topics and it's gonna be a bit confusing, and that, of course, that can happen, but that's also a learning experience. So if you decide that you want to learn to coding, and if you're consistent with it, everything is just a learning experience, and everything is a journey.
Yeah, it's all about the journey, not the destination. Classic cheesy quote, but it's very true and it hits home. Amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I see that we have a couple more questions in the chat here. We're just out of time today, but we will take them we're going to take them from this chat and we're going to bring them to our next live next Wednesday at 12:30 EST to 1:30 EST. Our next topic, drum roll please, really exciting. We're doing front end and back end full stack is our topic. What that means, we're about to find out next week because I personally don't know, but I'm really excited to learn. So make sure you follow our account, follow along for our journey because we have a lot of great tech content. Like, it's very similar to a YouTube channel where you can just learn as you go. Plus, we have a lot of great tips and tricks, which is super exciting. So feel free to give us a follow, and don't worry, come to our next live next week, and we're really excited to see you all. And I really want to give a big thank you to our creators today. You guys are amazing. Those answers are fantastic. I always enjoy coming to these Wednesday sessions and just like learning about tech because I still don't know a ton. So it's really exciting to hear from you guys. So we'll see everybody next week. Thank you so much to our donors for donating. You guys are amazing. And thank you to everybody that joined. And sayonara. We'll see you next week. Bye, team.